Hello guys, welcome. So if you ask Jimmy, when people like Dele Farotimi speak, take your time, listen to them. They have been in the trenches, they understand the space, they know the politics, they know the sociology, they know the legal aspects, and they know the activism. I'm not saying he is a Mr. Know-All, but I love to quote the title of his book, Don't Die in Their War. I have not read the book, I keep saying it, but I love the title of that book so much. Don't die in their war. And I believe what he was saying is that, look, don't take politicians too seriously that you will now be the victim of the crossfire between politicians. Guys, 2027 coalition, news has it that Atiku camp offers, underline, mark the word, highlight that word, offers Obi vice presidential role, VP role in one-term deal. 2027 coalition, Atiku camp offers Obi VP role in one-term deal. In every rumor, there must be what? An iota of truth. Right? But this is from Punch newspaper. Some news may appear too strange to be true. According to James Hadley Chase, in one of his books, he says, believe this and you will believe anything. But you do hear when they say this proverb, there is no smoke, or there can be no smoke without fire. This is how it starts. There are indications that former Vice President Atiku and Peter Obi are talking, and that Vice President Atiku may have offered the 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi a vice presidential role in a joint single-term ticket. That is what news is saying right now, guys. Welcome to If You Ask Jimmy. So, all right, guys. Now, insiders disclose that Atiku has committed to serving a single 4-year term, and Obi has agreed to be the former VP's running mate. That's what is on the table now. And how did this news break? Reliable multiple sources that is involved in the coalition efforts have requested anonymity. You know how these news people behave when it is not like a press conference or anything. When they get filters from under G, all right, news begins to filter out. Now they said that the proposal was initially discussed during a meeting between Atiku and Obi earlier this year in the United Kingdom. So it is not a new talk, but it's as if everything now, there's a kind of culmination or consolidation, you know. And they are saying that the ex-Anambra State governor was said to be working to secure the backing of his core loyalists, and that in the 2019 presidential election, Obi served as Atiku's running mate under the PDP, where they lost to former President Buhari of the APC. Now, this year on March 20th, you will also recall that former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai and others in Abuja, they announced the formation of a coalition to challenge President Tinubu in the 2027 election, right? And the announcements, actually made tongues to start wagging, whether it is actually this guy's call, what is his name, Nasir El-Rufai, or whether it's just a front to Atiku. And it's so clear from all the body language and all the movements that time that this guy El-Rufai is just like a forerunner who is just doing the foreman's job, yeoman's job for Atiku. And they said now that what El-Rufai was doing around that time was to galvanize support for Atiku. Are you getting me? Underground. Because PDP was in crisis and they are looking for a special purpose vehicle, SPV, with which they can launch the ambition of Atiku. And now, Peter Obi also remained in the Labour Party, but Labour Party is also having its own crisis. And both of them, they know that those two parties, may not take them or may not take them to their political destination. So they were looking for like another platform while they continue the talks. Guys, if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please help me support my channel. Please kindly subscribe. Click that subscribe button. Thank you. Please go ahead and click it now. 1 second. Thank you. Also, share this video and also click the notification bell so that anytime I upload videos, you will get it. Now, they said Obi and Atiku has come to an agreement, and they are saying that by this time next year, May 2026, that all the parties would have unveiled their presidential candidates for the 2027 elections. So the coalition is mindful of that. What they are saying is that the leaders have agreed that only a coalition between Obi and Atiku can wrest power from Tinubu. They realize that Obi alone cannot wrest the power by himself. Atiku alone cannot wrest the power by himself. Remember, they had a joint ticket in the last election in 2023, but the moment Obi went his own way to, declare for presidency, Atiku also went his own way. Kwankwaso also went his own way. So they spread their votes in different directions. People believe that if those three had remained together, there's no way Tinubu would have won that election. So now they say they are crossing the T's and dotting the I's, and that Obi and Atiku met earlier in this year in the UK, where Atiku mooted the idea of a coalition and urged Obi to be his running mate. What Obi told Atiku at that time, according to the reports, is that Obi asked for time to think it over and consult his loyalists. But now they are saying that recent developments show that Obi has accepted to be Atiku's running mate. I still take it as a piece of news that Obi has accepted to be Atiku's running mate, right? To serve a single 4-year term and hand over to the Anambra State former governor. But now, what they are saying from filters is that they have both agreed to sign a written agreement if necessary. So Obi is trying to do what? To get the buy-in of his own loyalists, right? Obi is trying to get the buy-in of his own loyalists before it is formally announced, right? And then when questioned about the political platform they intended to use, because PDP and Labour Party are in crisis right now, sources revealed that both of them are considering the African National Congress because of the crisis in PDP and Labour, and that it's very, very frustrating because those parties, PDP and Labour, are not settled. SDP was supposed to be in the picture now, but Obi and Atiku realized that APC has also infiltrated that SDP. So they are now tilting towards the ADC. All right. And now, if things do not favor them in LP, that is Labour Party, and PDP, they may join ADC. You see, that's why the word permutation will be what I will use here, because nothing is certain, nothing is cast in iron or too settled or sure by now. Now, Atiku's media aide Paul Ibe was said to have declined comments that he could not speak authoritatively on the agreement between the two opposition leaders. But what he said is that he knows that His Excellency Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi have been talking about the coalition but he cannot speak on the specific agreement that has been reached. That all he can tell them is that both of them are focused on ensuring a viable coalition that will be robust enough to accommodate diverse Nigerians to unseat the clueless APC in 2027. Now, guys, I said earlier in the year that His Excellency Peter Obi has work to do. There is something good that I saw in what the obedient movement did during the last election. They kept saying continuously, vocally, they were very loud about it, that the obedient movement is not the same as the Labour Party. And they were very vocal and vehement about it, very, very unequivocal. And that is an asset to Peter Obi. Because going about to these other parties, I said in one of my videos that Peter Obi does not have that negotiating power without his own supporters base, especially when that supporters base does not have a political party. Mind you, I said in that my video that Peter Obi has the biggest chance ever since the history of Nigeria, after the Second Republic, because obedient movement is the only organically formed movement right now in Nigeria with the kind of followership that it has and the spread. Okay, and that Peter Obi, everywhere he goes, he is going to have to capitulate or to bow or to kowtow or to just kind of, he's not in a very strong negotiating power. He was a member of PDP before he left. PDP will say welcome, but they are going to put terms and condition on the table. If he goes to Labour, even Labour Party is so fractionalized right now, that was not the willing party. It was not the party like a sheep or lamb that could do anything for Obi during that 2023 election. Right now, it is so splintered, it's so fractured that there is a lot of polarization, a lot of interest, and Obi cannot even trust. Who is there? Who can Obi trust in that party right now? So obedient movement, I said that 2 years is a short time actually to get a party registered in Nigeria. They can get it registered officially, but there will be a lot of mobilization to wrestle power alone, to go alone as a party. So that if Obi is going about, he should not go with obedient as a movement. Obedient need to come together to have a party that we have the face and the ideology. Because part of the problems that Nigeria is facing is the lack of political ideology, which makes everything, which is just a recipe for anything goes. But because of that, the vocal nature of the obedient movement and the organic nature, if they come to become a party, they will be the bigger asset in the hand of Obi. Number one, for loyalty. Number two, for negotiating ability. Because there's nothing wrong when people realize that, everywhere in the world, coalition happens. And apart from coalition, there is merger, there's merger, and there's coalition. So whatever is going to happen towards election, the obedient movement will now be an asset that it will not be a negotiable asset. It's going to be what they call it now. We talk about negotiable instruments. It will not be a ticket that Obi can leverage that, look, I have this party, I have this followership, and then it will now have, some audacity. But if he goes as an individual, no matter how many people, even if maybe obedience is even weightier than some other parties, but it's going to be a problem because they are not going to see it that way. Just because a party is incorporated and they already have some organs or whatever, people will believe that, they are better off and Obi needs them more than they need him. Meanwhile, they might even need Obi more than Obi needs them. Because Obi cannot take all the power alone, whichever party he goes to. So that's why I said Obi he has to negotiate. If he goes in as Peter Obi, by the time Peter Obi comes out, whether it's PDP or SDP or LP, you will not recognize Obi again. Because he cannot bring back everything he took in. He has to drop some things in his hands and take some things that are going to offer him. Politics is a game of numbers. Politics is a game of negotiation, continuous haggling, and politics is a game of give and take, especially Nigeria, multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, multi-political interest. So it's not going to be like this is Obi wholesome. It's going to be a game of give and take. And that's what you are beginning to see now. If this thing is anything to go by, well, we wait to see. The point is that there's going to be a lot of defections. Now, the power game is if Obi agrees. Please mark my words. If Obi agrees to a one-term, right? If Obi agrees to a one-term for Atiku and decide to be his running mate, power is not served a la carte. If Atiku achieves his ambition and they're able to beat Tinubu and he gets the power, you know how things happen in Nigeria. You know, just like you say, the earth rotates on its axis. Power also is about rotation in Nigeria. Let them not come and quote for Obi that, Atiku's used one time. That's if he actually wants to relinquish power. If he does, the argument will be that Atiku has only spent one time. That every region, north or south, is allowed to spend 8 years. Maybe they should allow the north to do another 4 years. Then it can now rotate back to the south, and people will be saying Tinubu used only 4 years, and say, okay, let us complete it. Nothing is certain. But the important thing is that people should realize that this politics is not about, holier than thou or sainthood. The earlier people realize that politics is about interest, politics is about, identifying those interests and fulfilling them. Politics in a complex society like Nigeria is not a holier than thou movement. It is a movement where people will give, where they will take, and where you will see the good, the bad, and the ugly rolling together. Because no one can wish anyone away. It will take time and cycles of election before we have a very pure candidate and pure elections. It is a journey. It is not an event that will just happen in one election cycle, right? So, well, this is what we had. It's still fresh. We are just into the early hours of today when this news broke, and we wait to see how things unfold. If indeed Atiku and Obi has reached an agreement for Obi to be vice president. But if you ask me, well, nobody will see this coming, especially with the positioning of the obedient movement, who trusts Peter Obi to be able to represent their interests only if he has the power. You know how vice presidential position is in Nigeria? It's just like a spare tire position. Most of the time, the vice president only he does what his principal tells him to do. So he may not have the authority, and he may not have the power to do what he would have loved to do. Is the movement now ready to wait for another 4 years to see their man at work to do what he knows, what he has promised them he will do, or why they follow and believe in him as the Nigerian politician that can change Nigeria's story and that can deliver Nigeria, that can take Nigeria to the promised land? And mind you, don't die in their war. People curse, people abuse. You know how the obedient will curse out the PDP, the articulate last time, just because of election. People became toxic, people became caustic, people, they just fight, they bicker. There's a lot of hatred, broken relationships, and it's just a kind of, cult followership. People curse, people hate. Now, the people you are cursing for, the people you are hating for, PDP hating on Labour, Labour hating on PDP, people hating on obedience, other people hating Batified, hating on, these guys are coming together. Remember this Babangida's book launch? You saw, these are what they are called political class, guys. Political class is a class. It's Turn by Turn Nigeria Limited. It's AGIP, all government in power. They are just like, chop make I chop Nigeria Limited. As long as there's a cake to share, they are Turn by Turn Nigeria Limited. That's how it is. So they do not really care about the way many Nigerians position themselves as if, okay, this candidate is the be all, say all, is the best thing that happens since sliced bread. If it's not Atiku, it's not, Nigeria cannot survive. If it's not Obi, nobody will get it right. It doesn't work that way in politics, right? It doesn't work that way. Before it can work that way, there must be a movement that has been on ground for a good period of time that have been able to, it's not about how long really, to galvanize, to really have a very good ideology and then take position in all the structures of the election and the electioneering process in Nigeria. Guys, I don't want this video to be too long, but let's see. Don't die in their war, and let's see what happens from here. You know, this is exactly the agreement in 2023 election, but it fell apart. But they said Obi is consulting his loyalists. Let's see what comes out of that. And I will see you on the next one. Guys, if you are yet to subscribe, please subscribe and also like my video. And also, please share this video and click the notification bell. Thank you for your subscription. I will see you on the next one. Bye.